You're being lied to about how money actually works. Society aggressively trains you to believe that building wealth is just a cold, mathematical spreadsheet of income, expenses, and investment yields. But they are completely wrong. Your financial destiny is not dictated by your intelligence or your ability to calculate complex percentages. It is entirely determined by how your brain handles greed, fear, and ego. Today, I am going to reveal 5 timeless psychological laws of money that dictate who gets rich, who stays rich, and who loses everything. These concepts will permanently alter your financial reality. Every single financial outcome in life is driven by 2 invisible forces: your own personal actions and the blind, chaotic spin of the universe. We love to pretend that our success is entirely the result of our brilliant decision-making, while completely ignoring the role of pure, unadulterated luck. Conversely, when we see someone else fail financially, we are incredibly quick to judge them as lazy or incompetent, completely dismissing the devastating impact of bad luck. The truth is that luck and risk are identical twins. They are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces completely outside of your individual effort. Let us look at a practical scenario. Imagine 2 highly ambitious entrepreneurs. Both of them work 80-hour weeks, both of them sacrifice their social lives, and both of them launch brilliant software startups. The first entrepreneur happens to launch his product right as a major global trend accelerates, pushing his company to a billion-dollar valuation. Society instantly crowns him a visionary genius. We buy his books and obsessively copy his morning routine. The second entrepreneur, who is just as smart and worked just as hard, launches his product a month before a massive, unpredictable global recession freezes all venture capital funding. His business goes bankrupt, and society labels him a failure. Therefore, the practical takeaway for your daily life is to stop idolizing extreme financial outliers. Stop trying to dissect the exact daily routines of the top 1% of the 1%. Instead of looking for specific individuals to mimic, you must start looking for broad, repeatable patterns of success that apply across millions of people. Earning a high savings rate, keeping your debts low, and investing consistently are broad patterns that work regardless of luck. If you try to blindly copy the exact habits of the billionaire, you are playing a highly dangerous game because you simply cannot replicate the macroeconomic luck that propelled him forward. When things are going incredibly well for you, force yourself to acknowledge that you are not invincible. You just got lucky. And when things go terribly wrong, forgive yourself, knowing that risk simply showed up at your doorstep. Human beings are intensely visual creatures. We rely on visual cues to determine who is successful and who is struggling. Because we cannot literally see the numbers inside another person's bank account, we judge their financial success based on what we can see: expensive sports cars, massive suburban mansions, tailored designer clothing, and luxury watches. But this creates a massive, devastating illusion. When you see someone driving a brand new $100,000 luxury car, the only thing you actually know about their finances is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought the car. Or even worse, they are buried in crippling, high-interest debt just to afford the monthly lease payments. True wealth is the exact opposite of flashy consumption. Wealth is the money you do not see. It is the sports car not purchased, the first-class upgrade declined, the designer watch left in the store. Wealth is the invisible, untouched capital sitting quietly in diversified index funds, retirement accounts, and robust emergency funds. It is incredibly difficult to build wealth because it requires a massive amount of psychological restraint. You have to actively suppress your ego and deny yourself the immediate social validation of buying expensive things to impress strangers. When people say they want to be a millionaire, what they usually mean is that they want to spend $1 million. But spending $1 million is literally the exact opposite of being a millionaire. The practical takeaway for your daily life is to completely decouple your ego from your spending habits. Stop playing the unwinnable game of trying to look rich on social media. Your ultimate financial goal should not be to wear expensive brands to signal status. Your goal should be to silently accumulate invisible capital. That invisible capital is the only thing that buys you the most valuable asset on earth: absolute freedom and control over your own time. When you have invisible wealth, you can quit a toxic job, take a year off, or handle a medical emergency without a single drop of panic. Wealth is what gives you options, and options are completely invisible to the outside world. The single hardest financial skill in the modern world is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Modern capitalism is an absolute masterpiece at doing two things: generating immense wealth and generating perpetual envy. As your income increases over the years, your expectations and your desires instantly inflate to match it. You achieve a financial goal that you once thought would make you incredibly happy. But the moment you cross that finish line, you immediately look forward to the next, much larger goal. You start comparing yourself to a wealthier social circle, triggering a toxic, never-ending cycle of comparison. Consider the tragic scenario of a highly successful corporate executive. He works diligently for 20 years and successfully accumulates a net worth of $2 million. His family is completely safe, his retirement is secure, and he has everything he could ever practically need. But then, he joins a prestigious country club and starts spending time with hedge fund managers worth $50 million. Suddenly, his $2 million feels like absolute poverty. To bridge this imaginary gap, he starts taking massive, reckless risks. He borrows heavily on margin to invest in highly speculative, unregulated assets, hoping to double his net worth overnight. The market crashes, the margin calls arrive, and he loses everything. He risked the money he actually had and actually needed to chase money he did not have and did not actually need. The practical takeaway for your daily life is that you must, ruthless, define your personal line of enough right now before your income spikes. Enough does not mean living in poverty or abandoning your ambitions. It means recognizing that the appetite for more will eventually push you to a point of regret. You must accept that social comparison is a game with absolutely no winners, because there will always be someone richer than you. Write down exactly what you need for a secure, comfortable life and violently defend that number against lifestyle inflation. If you cannot learn to be satisfied with enough, your money will never be a source of security. It will only be a permanent source of anxiety. We are biologically wired to misunderstand the terrifying exponential power of compounding. When we try to build wealth, we obsessively focus on finding the highest possible returns. We look for the next revolutionary tech stock, the explosive cryptocurrency, or the secret trading algorithm. We think that building massive wealth requires extreme effort, genius-level intellect, and spectacular single-year returns. But the mathematical reality of compounding tells a completely different, much more boring story. The true engine of massive wealth creation is not the size of your annual returns. It is the sheer, uninterrupted length of time those returns are allowed to grow. Let us look at a simple scenario. Imagine an aggressive day trader who constantly moves his money, taking huge risks to hunt for a 30% return every single year. He hits it big some years, but inevitably suffers massive 50% losses in others, constantly restarting his momentum. Now compare him to a boring, average employee who invests $500 a month into a standard global index fund starting at age 20, earning an utterly unexciting 8% annual return. The boring employee never touches the money, never panics during recessions, and simply lets the account sit for 40 years. By the time they both reach retirement, the boring employee will have accumulated vastly more wealth than the stressed-out trader. The greatest investor of our time made over 95% of his net worth strictly after his 65th birthday. His secret was not just high returns, it was the fact that he started at age 10 and never stopped compounding for 8 decades. The practical takeaway for your daily life is to stop agonizing over finding the perfect, highest-yielding investment this year. Good investing is not about making consistently spectacular decisions. It is about consistently avoiding spectacular mistakes. Your ultimate goal should be to find a solidly good, reliable investment strategy that you can actually stick with for the next 30 uninterrupted years. You do not need to be a financial genius to build generational wealth. You just need to respect the mathematical timeline of compounding, keep your hands off the portfolio during market panics, and let time do the heavy lifting for you. We love to plan our financial futures, assuming that everything in our lives will go perfectly according to our optimistic spreadsheets. We assume our careers will progress in a straight upward line. We assume the stock market will provide a reliable average return every single decade. And we assume we will never experience a catastrophic health crisis or a bitter divorce. But history is nothing more than a relentless chain of unprecedented, unpredictable surprises. A financial plan is only useful if it can survive reality going completely, violently off the rails. Imagine a highly organized individual who calculates their retirement number down to the exact penny based on historical stock market averages. They decide they need exactly $1 million to retire safely, withdrawing a precise amount every month. They hit their exact goal and immediately quit their job. But the very next year, an unpredictable global pandemic shatters the economy. The stock market plummets by 30%, and global inflation spikes to 10%. Their perfectly calculated spreadsheet shatters into a million pieces because it required a perfect world to function. They have no margin of safety, no cash buffer, and they are forced to go back to work in a terrible economy. The practical takeaway for your daily life is that you must proactively build a massive margin of safety into every single financial decision you make. Leaving room for error is not a sign of pessimism or fear. It is the ultimate acknowledgement that the future is fundamentally unknowable. This means saving significantly more money than you think you actually need. It means maintaining a bloated, highly liquid cash emergency fund that feels almost too large. It means projecting your future investment returns much lower than historical averages. When you build a financial plan that does not require the world to be perfect, you create true resilience. Room for error is the invisible cushion that prevents a temporary setback from becoming a permanent financial ruin. By acknowledging that you cannot predict the future, you prepare yourself to survive whatever it throws at you. To truly master your money, you must master your mind. You must accept that luck and risk are identical twins and stop idolizing extreme outliers. You must realize that true wealth is the invisible, unspent money that buys your freedom. You must aggressively define your personal line of enough to escape the devastating trap of perpetual envy. You must respect the long, uninterrupted timeline of compounding rather than chasing massive, risky returns. And finally, you must always leave a massive margin of safety to survive a deeply unpredictable world. Now look closely at your own financial life and ask yourself, are you actually using your money to buy personal freedom? Or are you just working tirelessly to buy a much heavier, far more expensive set of invisible chains?